Alright guys, we're sitting at Diamond 3 on both of our accounts right now. I'm playing some tank Nunu Jungle with Ignite. It's surprisingly good, very similar to 𝐒𝐿𝐿 since Nunu, once he's in, he can't really get out and he just needs that all-in potential. Plus, whenever you are rolling your snowball, you can't flash while you're doing it. So if you miss it, your flash isn't that helpful at that point. So assuming you land it, having the Ignite gives you a lot extra kill potential. The clear route I'm doing here is just starting with my bot lane on red buff, the most important buff. Then I'm doing my raptors, and then I'm going to do my golems. I don't intend on even going to the blue side of my jungle because I want to camp my bot lane. It's a Thresh. Most likely he's going to be forcing all-ins, and I figure I can get a lot of kills and snowball my bot lane and win that way instead of trying to fight 2v2s top against a Renekton and Vi, which could get really messy. If you look at the minimap, you can see this is going to work out perfectly. I just needed to drive a snowball through the tri-brush and it's an easy gank. If the enemies weren't pushing up, I would probably recall and then go into the other side of my jungle. While doing golems, my Riven gets solo killed, and this is where the whole game gets kind of fucky. She then proceeds to rage quit, and now I'm like, okay, you gotta know how to drift that snowball, come in from behind. Thresh is up way too far. I can just walk him down with my E, land the snare, and he is down for the count. His flash is down as well, and Scuttle is coming up, so I plan on just taking Scuttle Crab and then repeating my ganks and jungle pathing. After taking Scuttle Crab, I'm looking for a gank mid. In the meantime, I'm still full HP, so I don't want to back quite yet. Coming up behind the Syndra, she kind of senses something and reacts really quickly. If her reaction time wasn't so good, we might have been able to get her flash since I still have my red buff and Ignite. Thresh should be really close to being bought, and there he is. And I also have the Scuttle Crab, which is going to be really nice for my W. I line it up, I get the speed up, and I'm coming out really fast now. And of course, Thresh is playing up because that's what Thresh players do. I'm going to go for whoever's in the back since they are so far pushed up. That way we have a chance of killing both of them. I ignite the Sivir, land my snare. I choose not to use my Q to secure the kill. And now we can just chase down Thresh. At this point, I've gotten my 80 carry, I believe 3 kills now. And if Riven hadn't rage quit, then 100% this game would be over because me and Karma can just perma pill for 𝐠𝐠 in team fights. Since I've been staying bot, I can assume my topside jungle is gone anyways. Plus raptors and golems give the most experience out of any camps. It's not too big of a deal, and I can camp on the losing enemy lane who also doesn't have any summoner spells. If you want to get fast at clearing camps on Nunu and being highly mobile, you need to learn how to move your snowballs into your camps to take them quickly and effectively. This is most important on Raptor since you can wipe out pretty much the whole thing just with your W. Looking at the enemy bot lane once again, it is a Thresh who is playing aggressive, and it's also a Sivir who is a champion who loves to perma-shove with her W and Q, so doing Raptors into Golem then ganking bot through the tri-brush is simply ideal. Once again, they are pushed up really far, so I'm interested in hitting whichever one of them is in the back. In this case, Sivir walks forward to save Thresh. I knock up the Thresh and I hit both of them with my E, landing a double snare. I follow it in the turret, taking a few hits, and then we pick up both of the kills and I get away with the crime. Thresh is also being cheeky in chat, basically saying better jungler wins, and then I tell him better bot lane wins. In reality, it's completely Thresh's fault from dying from every single gank I do. If he would just ward the tri-brush one time, he could have avoided all of these deaths. Not to drag you guys through the mud for too long, the enemies just proceeded to split push until they got enough turrets and gold advantage to where they finally group, and then we just decided it wasn't worth playing since Riven never came back and it didn't seem like she ever was going to come back. So we ended up FFing. The feeling was kind of crappy, but at the same time it felt good knowing that I was hard carrying and that in a normal situation we would have won it. I reported the Riven and even sent in a ticket. She didn't get punished though. She kept playing that day and then has been playing the last couple of days. So it's very obvious that Riot doesn't care about intentionally rage quitting in high elo ranked games. So that's pretty cool. Also, the Riven went airy. Even though several times in champ select I reminded my teammates to check their runes, and she literally hasn't gone airy a single time ever in her match history on Riven or any other champion, except for Yuumi. But the last time she played Yuumi prior to this game was 7 games ago, so saying that she had her Yuumi page on was highly unlikely. It really did just feel like an extreme troll move, and Riot just doesn't care. This champ select seems really solid. We have a great late game AD carry, we have a split pusher, and we have a wave clear champion, which is 𝐒𝐂𝐈 and 𝐠𝐠, which is perfect whenever you have a split pusher like Fiora. That way, if they do try to force us 5v4 down mid lane, we can just clear the wave, and they'll never actually be able to kill us under turret without Baron buff, and if they do go for Baron, Fiora can wipe an inhibitor pretty easily. I am going up against the Karthus, which is really annoying. I can't fight him at all pre-6. He has a way higher base damage, and since he's a ranged champion, he can pressure me down with those red buff auto attacks. Keeping watch right here is my favorite. It's a really safe bush in general, and if they were to have seen me, I would have seen it because they would have had to run down mid, or if they warded this bush, maybe they could get it down before I get into the bush, but that's really rare. Oh god, I just gotta get out of here. I think they're gonna go ahead and leave though since we saw them. Oh my god, 𝐠𝐠. That was the worst possible situation right there. I don't think she's going to get out of here, and no, she doesn't. The Ignite is just too much, and 𝐠𝐠 didn't use her flash. Oh, that was so bad. Unfortunately, the kill went to Karthus as well, so me trying to fight him early is just going to be that much harder. Luckily, Karthus isn't a champion that typically invades, so I can just start on my red buff, do my golems and raptors to maximize my experience and gold, since once again, raptors and golems give the most experience out of any two camps. I don't really have any plans of ganking top lane. I mean, honestly, ganking Malphite is really stupid because he has a speed up. Plus, if I'm not invisible, you can just walk away and I have no good way of landing my CC since Fiora doesn't have any good CC herself, which is why on Evelyn, you're usually just going to wait till level 6 before you do any real ganks. Ganking Katarina as well is very unrealistic pre-6 since she can just run away from me and 𝐒𝐂𝐈 since 𝐒𝐿 doesn't have any reliable form of CC. Once you get comfortable mashing the Q button on Evelyn, then you should get a lot more comfortable with auto attacking and moving as well. Once you do that, lining up the blue buff and Grom to take them at the same time really does save you a lot of time. I found it saves me roughly 6 to 8 seconds, which doesn't seem like a lot, but that can make the difference between the enemy junglers showing up or them not quite getting there in time. Normally at this point I would recall and go do my golems, but the enemy bot lane is playing very aggressive and stepping up very far. I'm going to drop my charm on the Ashe. I do have my flash, so I flash Q, I all in her, and Blitzcrank, he's just too quick. The wave is in an awkward spot though, so I do want to push it. That way when my AD carry gets back, she'll have a nice reset wave where she can farm from the center rather than having to be at the enemy's turret to pick up a few CS. I see that Karthus has backed, so he has more items than me, but he's very low on mana because he has his Aeon right here. He ends up overestimating himself and steps up way too far with no mana, and now he's pretty much boned. I'm going to go back in on him, and he realizes that he's probably going to die, so he flashes out. If I had my flash, he would have been dead. So that was actually a really good exchange. A Lulu for Blitzcrank plus a Karthus flash. So even though it didn't seem good, we actually came out on top there. Leaving base, I went and took my golems and raptors. Since I soaked so much XP bot, I am now level 6 at a pretty good time. I want to show up at Karthus's red right as it's coming up because I figured I could kill him on it, but he's not actually here. He's back in base, so I want to try to take it as fast as I can. So I'm just going to drag it towards the back of the bush, so when he does show up, he's not likely to steal it from me, and now I can run directly into a bot lane gank. I don't want to start dragging since Karthus is going to be suspicious since he just saw I took his red, so coming up here bot lane is a really good option. I want to get the charm down on Ashe preferably. It's going to be a little bit tricky landing it. I hit her in the bush. Karthus ult comes down. Blitzcrank is getting really low on health, and I thought I could 1v1 him, but Jesus, he does a lot of damage. He ends up killing me, and I felt kind of embarrassed. I could have easily lived there, but I just didn't think he could do that kind of damage. Since I did die before my ultimate's damage went off, it didn't go on cooldown, so right after spawning in, I'm coming back bot lane. For some reason, Lulu stands right on top of me. It makes the enemies move away from that direction. I end up getting hooked, and the same exact thing happens. I die while I'm still inside of my ultimate from his red buff this time, and my ultimate's not on cooldown, but I died for a very stupid reason. Whenever Evelyn ganks, you want to stand right here as the bot lane instead of in the bush on top of Evelyn. It's the same concept of if you have a sniper and you're a machine gunner, you don't sit right on top of your sniper and blast your machine gun because it gives away their position. Karthus and Katarina are about to kill my mid laner. Pay attention to how I outplay the Karthus. As he's walking in the opposite direction, I charm him so he thinks I'm on his right or behind him. This is going to make him actually end up walking towards me around the wall because he doesn't want to walk to where he thinks I am. But in this situation, he ends up walking towards me because of the timing of when I put my W on top of him, which sets up a really easy kill for me. I do ult out a little bit early. I underestimated my damage, but I do get the kill. I get away safely and I can pick up some experience. If you remember, Katarina was low on health and I acted like I walked away, so I figured there was a good chance she was just recalling near her turret and I could sneak up on top of her. Normally you want to follow the wall to get as close as possible, but in this case her recall is going to get her home too quickly if I were to have followed the wall to get closer. I did use my flash to minimize the reaction time she would have had to escape, just to make sure I got that extra gold. There are situations where the enemies are smarter and go farther behind their turret, or they have faster reaction times, but guys, this is high diamond. If this high diamond Katarina is making this mistake, you can count on it in mid and lower elo that you will see this mistake quite often that you can take advantage of. My bot lane has been turbo pushing for most of this game and it's gotten me killed because I've been trying to gank it, so now I'm only coming bot whenever the enemy bot lane pushes, which is now. I got myself some more gold. I see Karthus is coming to this area. He's dropping ult, which is going to reveal me, so I want to wait in the bush. I drop a pink to make sure they can't see me, and now I set up my charm. He ends up walking in an interesting direction and his wall stops me from getting to him. I could have pathed that a little bit better and then blue smited him and all in him, but I played that kind of sloppy and I end up barely getting the kill here. If Lulu didn't show up, I would have just let him go. Katarina's following in for some reason. I dropped the charm, stay in the bush. Now I'm going to all in her. I ult really late, but she does do a great job of dashing to the plant. My Lulu keeps playing inside of the bushes, which is making it really hard to gank because I can't get on top of the enemies without them seeing me. So instead I'm playing around the wall now. I drop the charm, blue smite. Blitzcrank is being a pain in the ass, so we just turn onto him. And then this Ashe is actually kind of stupid. She walks up really far to help the Blitzcrank in a 3v2, and she gets herself killed as well. Karthus starts up his ult and somehow gets a double kill. Insane damage, almost also kills the Sivir. I'm looking for some sweet revenge. I'm going to let the dragon get him nice and low. I drop the charm. He doesn't know where I'm coming from. So instead, I just turn on to the dragon. I have to back away because of the Ashe, and he does get away. I was close to killing him, but his bot lane just gave him too much pressure. As they push up, I want to stalk right behind them. If they walk out of place, I can just one-shot and hold the wall. Charm on the Ashe, I Q. I one-shot her, and then I move out with my movement speed bonus. I can now weave back in as my abilities come up, but I am mindful of where the Karthus is. If I had my ultimate, I could have been a little bit more brazen there, but I had to play it smart since I am a little bit too vulnerable without it. If the enemies get used to your charm pattern, sometimes you need to mix it up. So this time I stand off to the side slightly in front of them and I want to charm the Ashe or the Karthus. And in this case, they do run backwards. So next time when I charm them, I'll just come up behind them and then they'll likely just run straight backwards again and I'll get a free kill. But if you always charm them from directly behind them, they'll get used to it and it'll make it harder to land it in the later game. I would have felt more comfortable being on a slight behind them at a flank, but my ultimate wasn't up. So if they did turn on to me, I would have died. I thought they might go for Baron, but when I realized Karthus was backing, I really wanted to get a pick and some juicy shutdown gold. I got 600 shutdown gold, but it wasn't really worth sacrificing myself since I as well had shutdown gold. I should have been more patient, let Karthus back, and then I could have picked the Ashe, and then of course Blitzcrank would have had no way of killing me. Blitzcrank here forces my ult. I get off some decent damage, but it was a lot sooner than I would have liked to have to use my ult. Now that they know that I'm in front of them, I want to path behind them to get a nice flank position. None of us died from the Karthus ult, which is also great news. If I can work my way into a bush, I can probably set up an assassination on the Ashe or the Karthus. Here I see the Ashe, so the moment I step out of the bush, I'm looking for a pink ward, and sure enough, there's one right there, so I immediately leave because I don't want to die. I'm weaving in and out of the bush. I one-shot the Karthus and then I flash out. That was a really important pick. It's going to stop them from pressuring Baron, and it's also going to set me up for some more picks. So I immediately run behind the enemies, and you have to have quick reflexes here because the moment one of them steps out, you don't want to run into their turret. And you also have to walk away like you see what I did here. I see there's a pink ward. We have the pressure. I drop the charm and break it. This will give me a lot more pathing options. Now I can run far left without them knowing I was there. I'm acting like I'm running right, and instead I actually want to get behind them. In this case, 𝐻𝐤𝐻 just steps up way too far, so I cut back in and finish her off. She's a really greedy player. I see Karthus is respawning back in. His red buff's going to be up soon, so right now I'm just looking for pink wards, and I preferably have my teammates kill them so I can still path around and get some map pressure. And so I'm pretty sure Karthus is going to come down here for his golems or his red buff. The moment I drop my charm on 𝐿𝐼, he panics and he ults away. Preferably I should have came up behind the turret and then I could have killed him, but Fiora getting the kill isn't that big of a deal. Katarina does way more damage than I was expecting, and she actually does end up picking me. Karthus steps up really far. He's in actually a really bad spot. Fiora can one-shot him. Lulu ends up trying to one-shot the Karthus instead and gets herself killed. Fiora could still make something happen though, but she just decides to play it safe. The enemies are trying to set up a Baron, and I want to get a few stacks on my 𝐤𝐤𝐻 to get 10 stacks for the movement speed. I'm looking for Karthus, 𝐻𝐻, or Katarina to one-shot. I go in for the Karthus, but I barely miss him with my ult. He's extremely low though and allowed Echo to kill him. Now I want to try to path behind the enemies. I want to wait till I'm invisible to approach those bushes. The enemies don't know where I am now, so I'm in a really good spot behind the 𝐻𝐻. I'm having to watch where they're all standing. It looks like they are fronting my team, so I can come up behind them. I one-shot the blitz and I run out. I'm not in a great spot, but as long as I just keep running in a straight line, they can't chase me because of my team. And now I can pursue the 𝐻𝐻. Lulu speeds me up, and I can just chase them down. I kill the 𝐿𝐼. 𝐻𝐻, he really has nowhere to go, but the cone doesn't even save her though, unfortunately for her, because Fiora cut her off. Being someone who's played hundreds of games of Karthus jungle, I realize his main weakness, which is actually the late game. If he gets picked in the late game, he's totally screwed because he has no gap closers, he has no escapes, and he's super squishy, so playing someone like Evelyn is perfect for killing Karthus. I'm waiting for him to come to his raptors, but he doesn't seem to be biting the bait. I charmed the Katarina. She thinks I'm behind her, so she just runs forward. I'm going to clear the wave and then go back to stalking the mid lane area, waiting for someone unsuspecting to walk up. I'm really not too interested in the Blitzcrank. He's going to be hard to one-shot with how tanky he is, so instead I'm just going to wait for one of his squishier teammates to be separated. Right now they are grouped up pretty hard, and I don't have any teammates to cut them off. Karthus is shoving up mid. I'm trying to line up a Q. I land it. He goes in 𝐻𝐿𝐼. Now I can just QE ultimate and I'm out of there. Even though 𝐻𝐻 lands ult, it doesn't really matter. And since I had above half HP when Karthus ult went off, it had no prayer in killing me. Since Dark Harvest, you have to be below half HP for it to proc. I'm going to heal super fast in my passive, catching them off guard. I should have gotten behind them though before I did throw out that W. I do still have my 𝐻𝐿𝐼 even though my ult's down, which is why I was playing so confident. Baron's sitting up there for free while Fiora splits the bot lane. 𝐿𝐼's probably going to cut in from the north. I'm going to have to break this pink ward, keeping a close eye on the enemy mid lane. Breaking that pink ward is going to give me a lot more pathing options. Fiora's in a really good spot right now with Karthus still dead. Me and my teammates are going to fight a 4v4 if they come to stop us, and if they do, Fiora will take a free inhib. If one or more of them goes to stop Fiora and some of them try to stop us at Baron, obviously we'll win the fight. The Baron was a no-brainer. We pick it up and we can move from there. Oftentimes after taking a major objective, I will stay whenever my teammates go back to base because the enemies won't really be on their guard since they don't see any of my teammates. They figure they just backed. Meanwhile, I'm lurking in the shadows waiting to take one of them out. Someone's going to come to stop this wave. Luckily it was 𝐻𝐻. She walks up and I blow her up pretty much instantly. She does end up using her ultimate and does flash away. I use my 𝐻𝐿𝐼 to survive the Karthus ult. Now I can go back in, healing off of my passive really quickly. And of course, I give my teammates the information. It's going to be really hard for the enemies to fight us with no 𝐻𝐻 or Karthus ult. With no 𝐻𝐻 ult and no Karthus ult, there's no real good way for them to kill the Sivir, or heck, even just stop us from smashing their base while they watch hopelessly. And that is the conclusion of this game. If you're going to play Karthus jungle, you need to stick close to your teammates and buy plenty of pink wards against Evelyn. I really like playing against Nunu as Evelyn because he has terrible 1v1 potential in the early game, which is where Evelyn is the most susceptible of falling behind and dying inside of her own jungle. So he's a great jungler to play against. Him, 𝐤𝐤𝐻, Rammus, all perfect for Evelyn. Things like 𝐿𝐼 and 𝐿𝐷 can really mess her up if they invade her and kill her. It's really hard for her to carry at that point. I normally don't like to gank this early, but it is against a Pantheon who's obviously going to be playing up. I flash, EQ, and we pick up the kill. That is a massive blow to Pantheon mid. It's only good if he can pick up early kills, and putting him behind like that is just perfect. After ganking mid, I took Scuttle and then figured I could gank bot lane since Nunu started red and now is near his blue buff. It should be pretty safe. Unfortunately, their minion wave is really large, which is going to make it pretty much impossible for Nautilus to land his combo. Oh man, if my AD carry had just thinned this out a little bit before I came to gank, it would have been so free. We got the Caitlyn flash, but Nautilus, oh my god, they're also teleporting. Things got pretty hairy from here, but I want to show you just this Nunu player's mentality. During this awkward fight, he sees that my blue buff is up and he is going to end up going for it after they kill my 𝐒𝐤𝐿𝐷𝐿. I see this and he's pretty low on health, and you have to keep in mind that Evelyn heals really fast. So I do have more health than him, my smite's up, and then he way over chases. I don't know why. I drop the charm, Nautilus CC, and we pick up an easy kill. They did get my blue buff, but it doesn't really matter because I'm still going to get my wolves and then I can back and do my golems. Here the enemy mid laner is backing and I saw Nunu's Raptors were most likely going to be up. I walk over here and he's waiting for me. There's no real way he can fight me. I'm getting healing off of the Raptors, off of my Hunter's Talisman. I drop the charm, which gives Katarina time to come in. I can take his Raptors now. I'm level 6 and he's only level 5 and I can get off some sick ganks. Wow, this Gragas, he's being super greedy. He's not even going to step into the bush. This is best case scenario. You can sit right on top of them until the last moment. They won't even react very quickly because they just think that they backed. My ultimate's about to come up, so I'm just going to follow him into the turret and pick up a pretty easy kill. Katarina's coming for a gank. I need to get a charm on the Caitlyn or the Karma here. Nunu once again being extremely greedy. Great CC by the Nautilus. I'm going to get a charm down on the Caitlyn. My flash is up. I'm invisible. She didn't have enough time to react. I tried to ult backwards, but I ended up ulting sideways. If you do it just right, you can hit people who are technically behind you with Evelyn's ultimate and still go behind them in that direction. Caitlyn's flash made it a little bit too risky, and I just had to do it sideways for the extra range. This was the last interesting play of the game. I'm going in for a dive underneath the turret. I get off a triple ultimate for an easy 3-man pick under turret, and that is going to wrap up this game. I had an overwhelming amount of assists over kills since I did have a Katarina. I wouldn't want to say 𝐒𝐿, but she had a lot of kill securing power. That's going to wrap up this episode of Unranked Challenger. Next episode, I have a spicy Nunu pentakill for you guys and some other cool stuff. So I hope you're excited for that. I also really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, don't forget to smash that like button, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out a lot with the algorithm. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.